How to write good dialogue. You've been chasing that lost horizon for weeks. The manuscript's almost ready. Time to polish this pearl and publish for the next great American novel. Something somewhere feels off. The characters feel dull. They're blunted knives, unfit for anything but passing butter. You know these guys. You fell in love with a few of them. Some of them brought you in, or you brought them in from real life. But it's missing something critical. Great dialogue. It's rare. Good dialogue is common, and terrible dialogue is absolutely everything. So what is it? What makes dialogue stand out? Is it talking about something interesting? Coyotes got into the hen house last night. Yeah? Heard it, didn't you? No. If you were a halfway decent farmer, I wouldn't have to feed our livestock to the dogs. If you were a cook that was halfway decent, I'd actually give a cap about carrying this flea-bitten farm. I swear to God, Earl, one day I'll leave you for a fat, unwashed ass, and I'll make it big in Hollywood. You'll be driving by in that old broken-down truck of yours, and you'll see me looking down at you, hair all done up, basking in glowing lights from on top of a billboard, because I won't be here to look across at you from the splintered table anymore. Well, that was at least a bit intriguing. Personally, I don't believe that you necessarily need to talk about anything remotely interesting, so long as the conversation has tension. It's decent, but not quite what you need for a new American classic, however. Close, but no triple cherries. Let's take a look at what this section gets right. Here we have conflict. A farmer and his wife lives despite each other on a failing ranch. That becomes clear enough without being told that directly. If you want readers to pay attention to dialogue, then one tool you can never do without is argumentation. Arguments introduce stakes. It gives us someone to root for, someone to loathe. It may be something minor. It could be as trivial as defending how sensual a foot massage is really. No one is going to die, no one is going to lose a fortune, yet there's a tangible element to the stakes of even the simple disagreement introduces. Someone is going to need to be proven right, or at the very least wittier than the other, and that keeps us engaged in our culture. Competition is everything. Want a person to feel real? Give them an argument. Now, like looking into a quartz orb, we see that our character thinks, has individual opinions, feelings, she has the gumption to speak up, and no matter how trivial the argument, the reader is more inclined to stick around to see the outcome. What did the text get wrong? It's lifeless, and also I fucked it up in speaking about it. The characters are wooden, rigid. There's no movement in the text. To be sure to add body language. It's rumored by those who should know that 80% of all communication is nonverbal. Try this. Instead of saying that he, she said this, or saying nothing at all after each line, give the character a motion that means something more than what is said. It applies a subtext of expression to reveal who is delivering this line and how they actually feel. Now try this. Coyotes got into the hen house last night. Earl yawned placidly. Yeah, heard it, didn't you? Edna crossed her arms. No. Earl folded an arm down over his overall to scratch a mite digging into his back. If you were a halfway decent farmer, I wouldn't have to lose half our livestock to the dogs. Edna flicked a lemon seed off her spoon and hit Earl on the nose. Earl giggled. If you were a cook that was halfway decent, I'd actually care about taking care of this flea-bitten farm. Earl drew a wad of phlegm in his throat with a gurgling noise and threatened to shoot it into Edna's soup. I swear to God, Earl, one day I'll leave your fat, unwashed ass and I'll make it big in Hollywood. You'll be driving down that old, broken-down truck of yours and you'll see me looking down at you, hair all done up, basking in the glowing lights from on top of the billboard, because I won't be here to look down on you across the splintered table anymore. She laughed, showing her teeth, a thing she often guarded against doing as she took her hand from across the table. He kissed it before gazing out the window at the spreading gray of that oncoming winter. Much better. Here we can see that beyond what is spoken, both Earl and Edna still very much care for each other, and both are deeply worried about their own well-being. What's said isn't necessarily what's being said, and that's so often the case in relationships, friendships, competitions, and other realms of relations. Now, like Geppetto, our wooden caricatures have become real. This is great dialogue, but we can do better. There's a lot to say about constantly improving, but if I may wax controversial, I believe a liberal pace of swearing should be applied to the characters, and in the moment, it goes a long way. You can use swear words in 6 different ways, and there are 2 types of swears in general, but that's an article for another day. Beep. Listen, this is the final rendering of Earl and Edna's argument. goddamn coyotes got to the hen house last night. Earl yawned placidly. Yeah, heard it, didn't you? Edna crossed her arms. No. Earl folded his arms down his overalls to scratch a mite digging into his back. If you were worth a shit as a farmer, I wouldn't lose half our livestock to the fucking dogs. Edna flicked a lemon seed off her spoon and hit Earl on the nose. Earl giggled. If you were worth a shit as a cook, I'd actually care about this fucking flea-bitten farm. Earl drew a wad of phlegm into his throat with a gurgling noise that threatened to shoot it into Edna's soup. I swear to God, Earl, one day I'll leave your fat, unwashed ass and make it big in Hollywood, looking down at you, hair all done up, basking in the glowing light from on top of your billboards, because I won't be here to look down across this motherfucking splintered table anymore. She laughed, showing her teeth, a thing she often guarded against doing. As he took her hand from across the table, he kissed it before gazing out the window at the spreading gray of that oncoming winter. Steinbeck, be proud. Go finish that all-star think piece. And make a goddamn argument that's worth shit.